أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا يا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. أما بعد، قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أتعلمون الله بدينكم والله يعلم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. To hasten the reappearance of our 12th and awaited Imam, recite with the loudest of your voices a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Respected brothers and sisters in the community, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One of the most common accusations thrown at the religion of Islam is that Islam is a religion that lacks modernity. An outdated set of laws concocted by an illiterate man in the 7th century. Laws that by no means are applicable to today in the 21st century. Because you find, when we come and examine the compatibility of life and religion, it's a conversation and an issue which relates to two parties of people. One on an external level and one on an internal level. As for the external level, you find that the concept of the compatibility and the modernity of the religion of Islam is an issue which has occupied prominent discussion for those outside the fold of the religion of Islam. Because many non-Muslims have come forward and accused the religion of Islam of being a religion that by no means is applicable to the 21st century. And this has become even more of an issue ever since Terry Jones has come to Dearborn, Michigan, where I live, and has attempted to burn the Holy Quran. And I don't call him Pastor Terry Jones, because when you call somebody a pastor, you're indicating the fact that he's a priest and he preaches the teachings of Jesus. And a man who attempts to burn the Holy Quran, a book where Jesus is mentioned over 28 times, is clearly a man who doesn't respect Jesus, son of Mary. The Holy Quran mentions the name of Jesus 7 more times than Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Holy Prophet is mentioned 4 times, Isa ibn Maryam is mentioned 28 times. 7 times more than Muhammad, Jesus alayhi salam is mentioned. And for a Christian pastor or a Christian man to come forward and burn the Quran shows that he's a man that isn't affiliated by no means to Jesus alayhi salam. So you find an external level, this concept of the compatibility of life and religion and the modernity of the religion of Islam has affected those outside the folds of the religion of Islam. Because they say the only desired goal of Islam is to thrust the entire world under one leadership, which is known as Sharia law. How many times have we heard this argument? Islam is a religion that the only goal it has is to thrust the entire world under one Sharia law. So you find on those outside the religion of Islam, we have to be able to discuss that Islam is a modern religion and a religion that is applicable to the 21st century. Yet on an internal level, for those who do follow the religion of Islam, and precisely when it comes to our youth, those at the adolescent age, you find one of the most common arguments that our youth bring forward about the religion of Islam and about quote-unquote becoming religious is that, brother, when I'm religious, it's impossible for me to be happy. As in, we have this idea amongst our youth, and it's unfortunate. We have to strive to remove this idea. That either you are a religious person or you are happy. For you to be religious and happy at the same time is something impossible. And I remember even once I was sitting in my classroom, and I have this, reputation in school where he's religious, whatever religious means. So they would come to me, they would tell me, so how does it feel? You're not allowed to have fun. What do you mean I'm not allowed to have fun? They would come to me and tell me, brother, don't you feel as if you live in a jail cell? You can't go out, you can't dress nicely, you can't have fun, you can't show your true self, you always have to put on a garb of religiosity. I told him on the contrary. When I'm religious, I even have more fun. When I'm religious, I'm happier than when I'm not religious. Because when I'm religious, I'm connected to the true eternal happiness. I'm connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. And he who deprives himself from the remembrance of Allah lives a miserable life. Honestly, brothers and sisters, a life without Allah is a miserable life. And you take examples of those such as Heath Ledger, Joker and Batman. People may come and say he was the happiest person. He was rich from head to toe. He was drowning. He would breathe money. They go and find Heath Ledger dead in his apartment because of overdose to drugs. I mean, what kind of happiness are you referring to? If that's happiness, then I would like to live my life depressed. So you find on the internal level, we have to be able to prove to our youth and explain to the younger generation that it's possible to be a happy person and to be religious as well. The question that we would like to answer today, which is an extremely important question to be answered to our youth and to those outside the fold of Islam in the 21st century. The question comes about, is Islam and life compatible? Or is life something separate than the religion? Or did religion come to complete life, and is life a part of religion? Because many people come and say today, it's impossible to be religious and live life today. How many times have you heard the discussion that people come say, something that came 5,000 years ago, ever since the day of Ibrahim, how could it be applicable to me? I go to school, in a world of technology, in a world of media, in a world where technological inventions are coming about daily. How do you expect me to apply a cast of systems that have come nearly 5,000 years ago? This is impossible. They say Islam is a religion that lacks modernity. Islam by no means is applicable to us today in the 21st century. The first question we have to answer is, what is the definition of modern? What does modern mean? As in, how could I claim that Islam is a religion that isn't modern if I don't come and explain the definition of what modernity is? Today, philosophers and writers come forward and give us two definitions to the word modern. They say, number one, modern is anything with what the majority agrees. Number one. And number two, anything in the tune of the march of time. Both of these could be refuted instantly when you analyze the religion of Islam. The first question that we have to answer is that they come and say modern means when everybody does it, if the majority follows it, if the majority accepts it, then this is considered modern. The trend of fashion, nowadays you go to school. How do you know what to wear? How do you know what's acceptable? How do you know if you wear this, people are going to like you, people are going to come and talk to you? You look around you, mashallah, everybody has a mohawk. Let me get a mohawk as well. Mashallah, everybody's wearing ripped jeans. Let me wear ripped jeans as well. I look around, I see who's doing what, and I follow them. Yet does it necessarily mean, if the majority agrees with it, does this necessarily mean it's 100% correct? I mean, we can easily take this philosophy and apply it to Karbala. Well, because Imam al-Hussein had more companions then, or Yazid had more companions than Hussein, and this means that Yazid was correct and Hussein was wrong. I think it's in Sacramento. You go and you find gay marriage has been legislated. Gay marriage in Sacramento is something acceptable. It's something official. Something that the government has no problem with. Now, if I was to take this concept or this definition of modernity and anything that the majority agrees with, then this would make gay marriage correct. The idea is that not everything that the majority of the people agree with is necessarily correct. Logical or no? Number one. Number two, anything with the march or in tune with the march of time. They say anything that is up to date and anything that is in tune with the march of time can be considered modern. Let me ask a simple question. Time, what happens in time is enshaped by man. Meaning what we do today is enshaped by man. Now the question is man fallible or is man infallible? Man is fallible. Now if time is enshaped by man and man is fallible, then how could I do anything that is in the tune with the march of time if time is a product of man and man is fallible, which makes time fallible as well? People come today and say anything that is modern should be done. Bernard Shaw, one of the greatest writers and revered writers of our time, comes with a very interesting statement about the religion of Islam. You see, because it's one thing if we bring what Muslims say about Islam, because he's a Muslim, he was born a Muslim, but what if we bring what a non-Muslim says about Islam? This shows the universal principles of the religion of Islam. Bernard Shaw says, I admire the religion of Islam because I see it as the only religion that is applicable to the 21st century. He says, as religions have come across, they have lost their applicability as time surpassed. But Islam, on the contrary, became even more applicable as time surpassed. Why? Because in the religion of Islam, we have two kinds of laws. We have dynamic laws, and then we have the fixed laws. Dynamic laws, after I explain fixed laws are laws such as Salah. Salah, ever since Abraham until today, is fixed. You can't mess around with Salah. Or you have issues such as Hajj. Hajj, you can't mess around with Hajj. Or you have issues such as charity. These are fixed principles which as time surpasses, you cannot be able to change. But then you have the dynamic laws. And it's here where we find the applicability of Islam in the 21st century. Because in Islam you have the dynamic laws and then you have the fixed laws. The dynamic laws are laws, for example, such as plastic surgery. Now if you go back to the ahadith of Al-Muhammad and you go back to the Holy Quran, you don't find any reference related to plastic surgery. Allah comes and says, Ya ayyuhalladhina aminu, ati'u Allah wa ati'u ar-rasul wa ulil amri minkum. O you who believe, give your obedience to Allah and the Messenger and those who are vested with authority. Allama al-Tabatabai, may Allah have mercy on his soul, comes forward and says those who are vested with authority, yes, refer to Al-Muhammad. But on a temporary and contemporary note, they refer to those who have been given authority, the institution of marja'iyah. See, today, for example, something such as plastic surgery, you go back to a hadith, you go back to the Quran, no reference to plastic surgery. Now me as a Muslim, if there was nothing in Islam that came and gave me a solution telling me, is this haram, is this halal, then I would say Islam is a religion that's not applicable today in the 21st century. But you find this concept of dynamic and fixed laws makes Islam a religion that's applicable to the 21st century. Now you find many people come and ask the question, what is it that Islam accepts to happen, and what is it that Islam denies? You may say, what does that mean? What concepts or what aspects of modernization does Islam accept, and what aspects of modernization does Islam not accept? In Islam, everything modern can be followed, but nothing can be compromised. And there's a big difference between the two. Let me make this point very clear. In Islam, all forms of modernization is acceptable, but no forms of compromisation is acceptable. You may say, what does that mean? You find today certain sects and certain parties who claim to be followers of the religion of Islam are tarnishing the image of Islam. They say that we are modern, because in Islam, you can change the means, but you cannot change the ends. And this is exactly what the definition of modernity is in the religion of Islam. You can change the means, meaning how I do tabligh can change. Rasulullah may have sent caravans teaching people about Islam. Nowadays, I can send a text message teaching people how to follow the religion of Islam. In the time of the Prophet, you find that people may have traveled using camels. Today we don't use camels. But the idea that the concept of transportation still exists, that the means, very important, the means may change, but the ends does not change. Today, the enemies of Islam with the garb of religion are changing the ends but keeping the means. Today, the enemies of Islam are changing the ends, but they are keeping the means. You may say, what do you mean? Today he'll tell you, I'm a follower of Allah. Today he'll tell you, I'm a follower of, for example, Rasulullah. And he'll have the longest of beards. And he'll have the best of clothing. His recitation is the best of the recitations. Yet when you look into a heart of such a person, he has the worst of hearts. The substance he has removed, but the shell he has preserved. Allah comes and says, the shell you can change, but the substance has to stay the same. You may change how you do tabligh. You may change how you spread the religion of Islam. The means may change, but the substance is the same substance that came down to the chest of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because many times you find people come and compromise the religion. They will change the principle, but the means to that principle they will keep the same. And that's why you find Allah within the Quran comes with one of the most powerful verses regarding such people. Those who change the substance but keep the shell. وَإِذَا رَأَيْتُهُمْ تُعْجِبُكَ أَجْسَامُهُمْ وَإِنْ يَقُولُوا تَسْمَعْ لِقَوْلِهِمْ كَأَنَّهُمْ خُشُبٌ مُسَنَّدَةٌ. Allah says, if you see them, their shell will please you. Their shell will do what? It will impress you. وَإِن يَقُولُوا, once you hear to their substance, تُعْجِبُكَ أَجْسَامُهُمْ وَإِن يَقُولُوا تَسْمَعْ لِقَوْلِهِمْ, once their substance is revealed, you listen to that which they have to say, they are almost as if they are hollow pieces of wood. When you study the history of Islam, you find the Khulafa, beginning from Bani Umayyah, you find that they would keep the means, but they would change the ends. There is no better example than Muawiyah. Muawiyah, in public, Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah. In public he would pray. In public he would act as if he's a mu'min. He would keep the shell. But then you look at Muawiyah, the same one who killed Hijr ibn Adi al-Kindi. The same one who sent the enemies of Allah to poison and kill Ali ibn Abi Talib. The same one who went against the treaty Sulh al-Hasan with Imam al-Hasan salawatullahi wa alayhi. In public, in public, Muawiyah kept his shell. But then you look at the substance. This is not modernity. This is what you call radicalism. This is what you call compromising the beliefs. You take somebody like Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik. Walid ibn Abd al-Malik, you go and read history, he was considered as one of the Khulafa of Islam. Walid ibn Abd al-Malik one day, Walid, from his mother's side, his grandfather was Muawiyah. From his father's side, his grandfather was Abu Sufyan. You can imagine from what roots such a person like Walid was coming from. Walid one day is sitting and he wants to read the Quran. He says, let me open up the Quran. Maybe I can benefit from these words of, they say there's a God. Let me see, maybe I can benefit from such words. He opens up the Quran. Notice, this is a person who claims to be a Muslim. This is a person who in public would pray. This is a person who until today in some sects is considered as the Khalifa, the Hujjah of Allah on this earth. What did one day? He opens up the Quran, he wants to see what Allah says to him. He opens up the Quran and a verse comes to him, he says, وَخَابُوا وَاسْتَفْتَحُوا كُلَّ جَبَّارٍ عَنِيدٍ. The verse comes and says what? It says that every tyrant and every stubborn person will be faced by the torment and punishment and the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walid is sitting there. He says, Allah, you are speaking to me like this? I am the representative of Islam on this earth. I am Walid ibn Abd al-Malik. And he comes with one of the most famous lines of poetry where he says, أتوعد كل جبار عنيد فها أنا ذاك جبار عنيد. He says أتوعد كل جبار عنيد فها أنا ذاك جبار عنيد إذا لاقيت ربك يوم حشر فقل لله مزقني الوليد. Walid ibn Abd al-Malik comes and does what? He puts the Quran on his spear. After Allah reprimanded him, after Allah scolded him, Walid goes, he brings a spear, he places the whole Quran on it, he brings his spears of arrows and throws them into the heart of the whole Quran until it rips into pieces. Walid in public was able to maintain his religion, but in private he was a wild beast. And this is a big problem because the world today is being fooled by such images. The world today is simply judging by the shell and they're not looking into the substance. Because once the substance is understood, this will lead you to Al-Muhammad. This will lead you to Ahlul Bayt Salatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. So this is what you call compromising. And then you find when it comes to our youth today, for some reason, we have been professional at keeping the shell, but the substance we haven't been able to maintain. For example, you go to some youth in their cars, but in Muharram, no music. You go to their cars after Muharram or before Muharram, you find these singers being blasted like crazy. The windows are down and the music is being blasted, but subhanallah, you look on his mirror, you see a little Quran hung. The Quran is blasted. The substance is not there, but the shell is there, brother. No, this Quran is enough. Or you go into some houses, you see pictures of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on the wall. Salamullahi alayhi. You see pictures of Fatemah al-Zahra. You see ladies in the house who supposedly love Imam al-Hussein, who love Fatemah. But then when it comes to wearing the hijab of Fatemah, no one is wearing it. The substance isn't there, but the shell is there. So you go into their cars, you find music, blasting, subhanAllah. You know, the beats are bouncing off the walls like crazy. And then you see a nice little Quran hanging down. Do you know who I compare these kinds of people to? They may not be evil. I'm not saying they're evil people. They're misguided. They're what you say, they're confused. We have to remove that confusion. But do you know who I compare such people like? I compare them to Muawiyah and Safin when he placed the Quran on the spear. Because Muawiyah, he used the Quran as a hujjah. These youth use the Quran as a hujjah. Why? The Quran is hanging down. Thus whenever I'm listening to this music and I feel guilty, no, I'm a mu'min because this Quran is hanging down. You see, we use it as a hujjah. Muawiyah, in the battle of Siffin, he used this Quran as a hujjah. Why? Because he didn't see Islam as a holistic way of life. Allah comes and says, "Inna dina 'inda Allah Islam." The religion of Allah is Islam. But many people take Islam as a culture. Many people take Islam not as a way of life, but simply as a Tylenol pill. And this is where Muharram becomes a problem. This is where Ramadan becomes a problem. Where Ramadan not becomes a place where I come and socially or spiritually reform myself. It becomes simply a social gathering. Muharram just becomes a Tylenol pill. I need a psychological console. I need something to massage my emotions. I go for Muharram and I cry. But now when you look at the substance, you see Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was a revolution I can apply to my life, number one. Number two, and then you come to modernity. This was compromisation. Now what is modernization? Modernization in Islam is that any form of technology is acceptable. Social networks have no problem in the religion of Islam. If I have a Facebook account, there's no problem with it. If I have an MSN account, for example, there's no problem with it. Social networks are there. But what is the condition is if I use it as a means to the ends and not the ends itself. As when I ask you a question, can you imagine the Holy Prophet having a social network in his time? Having, for example, such as Google? Rasulullah for sure. He would use Google. He would use Facebook to spread the religion of Islam. Today we need to be doing the same exact thing. But you find, brothers and sisters, after you give me Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa you find that many times the religion becomes a tool in our hands. Besides Allah or Islam in shaping our character begins to shape Islam. The verse I began with, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and says what? He says, قُلْ أَتُعَلِّمُونَ اللَّهَ بِدِينِكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ. Allah says what? He says, do you teach Allah His religion? And Allah knows that which is in the skies and the earth. Because many times the deen of Allah, al-Islam, becomes a tool in our hand. Allah says, أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ فَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ. Have you seen the one who took religion as his desire? How many times have you wanted to do something and Islam says don't do it, but you do it anyways? As Muslims, and I speak to myself first. Everything I say is applied to myself before I tell you. Because when I speak, I'm just reminding myself. Many times, our interest becomes more important than the interest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ahl al-Bayt, beginning from the first until the 12th, all of them, what was so special about them? They didn't see anything of themselves. People come and say, why do you praise Ahlul Bayt? Why do you do dhikr of Ahlul Bayt? Because Ahlul Bayt didn't see themselves. Ali ibn Abi Talib never say, follow me. He would never say, look at what my karamat are. He would never say, look how great I am. He would always reflect himself back to Allah. Now if Ali is the greatest means to Allah, if Rasulullah is the greatest means to Allah, وَابْتَغُوا إِلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَةِ, then why shouldn't I take them as a means? Ahlul Bayt absolutely annihilated themselves. To the extent where you wouldn't see them, you would see nur, you would see beacons of guidance, because all traces of ego were removed. All traces of that I-ness, that ananiyah. And what other than this ananiyah is it that dropped shaitan to the trash of society, to the trash of history? Allah says, prostrate down to Adam. He says, me? Prostrate down to Adam? أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهِ خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتُهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. I am better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from mud. Now how shaitan concluded that fire is better than mud, I don't know. He needs some chemistry classes. But shaitan comes and says, أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهِ. أَنَا. Allahu Akbar. That's أَنَا. أَنَا means what? Me. Today in our societies you see most of those who don't come, and those who do come, that big I is on top of their forehead. I have given this much. I have done this. I went here. I went there. I built this. I built that. Ali ibn Abi Talib would be referred to as Abu Turab. Do you know what Abu Turab is? Abu Turab means the father of dirt. Why would they call him Abu Turab? Because Ali ibn Abi Talib was so humble. Ali was a man of humility. He says, me? Who am I? Eventually I will be 6 feet under where nobody will remember my name. This is the mentality of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So you find, the point is what? Many times we prefer our interest over the interest of Allah. Our anger becomes more important than what makes Allah angry. Our satisfaction, our rida. becomes more important than what makes Allah satisfied. But you find Ahlul Bayt, their anger became the anger of Allah. Their satisfaction became the satisfaction of Allah. Now it's one thing if I'm angry when Allah becomes angry. It's one thing if I'm happy when Allah is happy. But it's a whole other thing when Allah becomes angry when I'm angry. And Allah becomes happy when I'm happy. What does Rasulullah say about Fatima, the Lady of Light? He says, Fatima, بضعة مني. من آذاها فقد آذاني. يرضى الله لرضاها ويغضب لغضبها. He says, Fatima is a part of me. Whoever makes her happy makes me happy. See, Rasulullah is happy when Fatima is happy. Yet there's a higher level which he relates to. He says, يَرْضَى اللَّهِ لِرِضَاهَا. Allah becomes happy when she's happy. وَيَغْضِبْ لِغَضَبِهَا. And her anger becomes the anger of Allah. That she didn't have any anger because of her personal interest. No. There was no personal interest for Fatima. She didn't become happy because herself, her nafs became happy. It was because she became happy when Allah became happy. She paralleled her likes and her hates with the likes and hates of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is what we find in the Battle of Khandaq with Ali ibn Abi Talib. You find Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he was sitting on top of that enemy of Allah, Amr, finishing him off, you find that Amr spat in the face of Ali ibn Abi Talib. How many times have we heard this story? Yet look at the philosophical approach to this story, where Ali directly paralleled his love with Allah's love. His anger with Allah's anger. He spits in the blessed face of Amir al-Mu'mineen sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Ali stands up. He walks. He walks. He walks in circles. He goes back to the tent. The people come back to him, they tell him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, when you were sitting on the chest of Amr bin Wood, we seen that you stood up, you've walked a few circles, and then you came back and finished him off. What's the philosophy? Because we know you don't do anything except if there's a hikmah behind it. Why did you stand up? You walked around for a few moments, and then you went and you finished off Amr. He says, when I was sitting on the chest of Amr bin Wood, he spat in my face. He says, when he spat in my face, if I was to kill him at that moment, I would have killed him for the anger of Ali. He says, I stood up. I walked around for a few moments. I removed the anger of Ali until my anger was paralleled with the anger of Allah. He says, only then after I eradicated my own emotions, I went back and I finished him off for the sake of no one except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Why was he able to do that? Because he analyzed who Allah was. And he understood that Allah's anger is more important than his anger. And he was able to be nothing except a reflection of the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find many times we take religion and we use it as a tool. Allah says what in the Quran? أَتُعَلِّمُونَ اللَّهَ بِدِينِكُمْ. Do you teach Allah your religion? Because brothers and sisters, we have to be ambassadors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is exactly what Ahlul Bayt are. Now you find, if Islam is so modern, if Islam is so relevant and applicable to the 21st century, what are the accusations that people come with about the religion of Islam that makes Islam seem as if it's not a modern religion? You see, because today in media, today in magazines, today in journals, you find Islam is accused of being a religion that lacks modernity. Why are people doing such things? The first and primary reason why Islam is being attacked as a religion for its ability of not being a modern religion is because Islam is the only religion that was able to preserve its principles. You go and you examine religions such as Christianity. You find Christianity today is not the same Christianity that came down to Jesus. Today you study Judaism. The Torah that we have today is not the same Torah that they had yesterday. In the Torah and in the Bible, you find that pork is prohibited. You find alcohol is prohibited clearly through the Bible, yet today Christians and Jews still drink this alcohol. They still practice in the consumption of pig and pork. You find they come and say, if Islam is a modern religion, why don't you allow your followers to eat this pig? As in, we're in the 21st century. Your religion came 5,000 years ago. Maybe some scientific discoveries have made it clear that this pig is okay. They come and say, why don't you allow your followers to drink this alcohol? First of all, drinking alcohol is not modern. Drinking alcohol is just unwise. Eating pork is not being modern. These accusations themselves are void. Eating pig is something that contributes to the deterioration of society, both on a physical level and on a moral level. On the physical level, you find that today 50% of Americans in the United States suffer from hypertension. You go and you ask them, why do you suffer from this hypertension? Scientists come and tell you it's because of the consumption of this pork. When this pork, considering the fact that it eats its own feces, and then I consume this pork, whether I like it or not, physically I'm going to be affected by it. And that's why 50% of Americans suffer from hypertension. But as for the moral reason why, how does eating pig, it's a crucial point, how does eating pork affect me morally? Today you go and you find this custom which is known as wife swap. You find you go to indecent gatherings today, you go for example to clubs or to discos, indecent gatherings, you find after they consume this alcohol, they practice in something which is known as wife swap. You take my wife and I enjoy her for the day, and I take your wife and I enjoy her for the day. People may come and ask, where did this indecent custom stem from? Where did it come from? How did it evolve? You go and you analyze the pig. People say, no, the pig has no effect on my character. You take this custom and you directly connect it to what the pig does. The pig is the only animal today which enjoys watching its partner mate with other animals. Pig today is the only animal in the animal kingdom that enjoys watching its partner mate with other animals. Now when I eat this pork, do you think it's not going to affect me? It's going to affect you, of course it is. Both physically and morally. They come and say, why does your book prohibit eating pork? Number one, your book prohibited pork before my book prohibited it. You go to Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7 and 8. You go to Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse number 8. You go to the book of Isaiah chapter 65, verse number 2. Example after example where pork is prohibited within the Bible itself. Now tell me as a Muslim, I'm just following what your book came from. You as a Christian find in your Bible that pork is prohibited, yet you still eat it. Yet me as a Muslim, I don't eat this pork, which makes me more Christian than the Christian himself. You find alcohol, for example. You go to other pages in the Bible and it makes it extremely clear how alcohol has been prohibited within the Bible itself. You know, today, yearly, 22,000 people die from the consumption of alcohol in the States. 22,000, this is a serious issue. This is killing society. 22,000 people in the US yearly die from the consumption of alcohol. Yet, 64% of Americans still decide to drink it. I don't know how it works. 64% of Americans still decide to drink this alcohol. Now tell me, where is the wisdom in that? Islam, the only religion that has been able to preserve this quality of not drinking alcohol, of not eating this pork. Why? Because Islam has been accused of being an immodern religion today because it has been able to preserve its principles, while other religions haven't. Allah says, "Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr wa inna lahu lahafidhun." We have brought this Quran down and we are the ones who preserve it. Islam, let's be proud. Islam, al-Islam, inna deen 'inda Allah al-Islam. The only religion that has been able to preserve its same book, that the same book that came down to the Holy Prophet is the same book that we have today. Yet the Bible is not the same book. It's been manipulated. The Torah is not the same book. This is something we need to be proud of. Yet they come and say pork, alcohol, you guys are immodern. Your book has prohibited it before us. And then you come with one of the most common accusations, which is hijab. Inshallah, on one of the nights, I have a full analysis of hijab. Yet today I would like to allude to this. You find today, they say you Muslims are not modern. Wake up and smell the coffee. Dress like normal females. Don't put the scarf on your head. Today you find, if a half-naked lady walks around in society, nobody says anything. But a lady who wants to maintain her chastity and dignity, who wears this hijab on her head and covers her body from head to toe, is considered an outcast. You see that irony? How a half-naked lady can walk around, no problem, no problem. On the contrary, people are attracted towards that. And then you find one who comes forward and wants to protect herself and wants to maintain her dignity is considered to be one who is outside the borders of modernity. If modernity is walking around half naked, then our females should be proud to be called backward. If being modern is walking around half naked, then our sisters and females should be proud to be called backward. Because I would rather be called modest and backward than immodest and modern. I would be rather called backward, yet still be able to maintain this dignity of mine. Oppression. They say this hijab is oppression. How is this oppression? When you walk into a Christian household and you see a picture or a portrait of Maryam, salamullahi alayha, you see she has this hijab on her head. Have you seen any Christian come and say, Maryam is oppressed, salamullahi alayha. What an oppressed lady. No. Nobody says that. On the contrary, they say Maryam was a dignified lady. This was the mother of our Lord. She's a lady of chastity, the symbol of dignity. Yet when a Muslim comes across and places this hijab on her head, no, she's oppressed. Oppression? What's oppression? I ask you. Is oppression a lady walking around covering her dignity and chastity? Or is oppression that today you go to commercials and you don't find one commercial where a lady which is half naked is sitting right by the material trying to sell it? Now tell me, is the lady coming with the product or not? Why do you put her there? Why? Because they've objectified these women. Islam comes and says, if modernity is defined by being immodern, then we would rather be backward. Because Islam comes and says morality over modernity. Society comes and says morality over modernity. Islam comes and says no. If they're calling you backward, yet you're still firm with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there's no reason why people should come and call you. You shouldn't even worry about it. وَلَا يَحْزُنْكَ قَوْلُهُمْ, Allah says. Don't be worried by what they say. Who can care less? And that's why you find the contributions of Islam towards science and towards technology are the greatest of contributions that any religion has come forward with. People who come and say that Islam is not a religion of modernity, it is not up to date, number one, don't understand the contributions of Islam towards technology. Today you go to schools of academia. Today you go to Western universities and you find they teach you about the founder of medicine, Avicenna. Avicenna is who? Avicenna is Ibn Sina. Notice how they try to Latinize the name. So that when I hear Avicenna, I don't think he's a Muslim. He's maybe Christian, he's maybe Jewish. But when you say Ibn Sina, makes it very clear this man was an Arab and this man was a follower of Allah and a follower of the religion of Islam. You find today you go to our circles of academia, you go to Western University and they teach you about Al-Hazan. Al-Hazan is who? Al-Hazan was who? Ibn al-Haytham. Ibn al-Haytham, the founder of mathematics. You find today you go to universities and you ask them, Ibn Haytham may have contributed to the world of mathematics. He may have had works affiliated to him relating to mathematics. But what religion was Ibn al-Haytham was affiliated to? As in Ibn al-Haytham, today is known as Al-Hazan. You go and you read about Jeber. Today you go to universities and you learn about Jeber. Jeber is who? Jeber was Jabir al-Najjar, the son and the teacher of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. They tell you They tell you about Jibr, but they don't tell you about Jabir. They tell you about Avicenna, but they don't tell you about Ibn Sina. They tell you about Al-Hazan, but they don't tell you about Ibn al-Haytham. Why? Because they know the minute we affiliate these individuals with Islam, then Islam will begin to grow. They know the minute we tell the world that Islam has come with contributions to science, Islam has come with contributions to medicine, Islam has come with contributions to the world of mathematics, they know that the world will begin to see what Islam is. Yet you find despite the schemes and the plots of the enemies of Allah towards Islam, Islam until today is the fastest growing religion in the world. In the deen and Allah Islam. Islam is for Allah. And it's Allah's responsibility to take care of this religion. They can say what they want, yet the religion of Islam will always be there, shining higher than ever. You find until today, despite the schemes and efforts to diminish from the greatness of Islam, the religion of Islam still has people coming from the camps of falsehood to the camps of truth, coming from religions which spread falsehood to the religion that spreads truth. Even Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, on the 10th of Muharram, knew the greatness of the message of Abi Abdullah al-Husayn. He's seen that I have everything. I have war, I have material, I have armies, I have soldiers supporting me in all that I do. Yet there's one thing I lack, which is haqq, and that is what Hussein in front of me has. Is that Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi on the 10th of Muharram, when Umar ibn Sa'ad commanded him to attack Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, he told him, Ya Umar, is that the man I am attacking? He told him, yes. They see Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi trembling with fear. They see Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi shaking like he's never shaken before. Because you know, an army, a general in the army has to show his strength and courage. They see Hur shaking for the first time. They tell him, Hur, what's the problem? Hur, we've never seen you in this situation. He tells him, Wallah, inni ukhayyiru nafsi bayna al-jannati wal-nar. He says, by God, I am now choosing whether I want to enter heaven or whether I want to enter hell. They say that Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi goes to Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. He goes to Imam al-Husayn and he bends down on his knees. He tells him, Ya Aba Abdullah, hal li laka min tawbah. He tells him, Oh Hussein, is there any opportunity for me to repent? For I know I have forced you to come to Karbala. Were it not for Hur, Karbala wouldn't have happened. He says, I am the one who forced you to come to Karbala and put you in a situation where you and your family members will be killed. He tells him, Ya Aba Abdullah, I ask you, please forgive me. He tells him, Ya Aba Abdullah, I ask for your forgiveness. Will you accept my tawbah? He tells him, Ya Hur, by God, I accept your tawbah. If you are sincere in your repentance, then Allah will forgive you. They say that Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, he heads towards the battlefield and he fights for the sake of Allah, shouting, Ana Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. He says, I am Hur son of Yazid al-Riyahi, and I have come to fight for the sake of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. They say that Hur kills nearly 40 enemies and he falls onto the ground. When they tortured him and they fell upon him, they cut the head of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. Imam al-Husayn heard that Hur ibn Yazid was killed. He came rapidly running towards the body of his companion Hur. He tells him, Ya Hur, أنت حر كما سمتك أمك. He says you are free just like your mother has named you. يا حاد الظعن بالله لا تسج بيداي. والله دليل الفقد ابو السجاد بيداي ريض خل غسل حسين بداي ولا يظل وحده فوق الرمية والله ولا يظل وحده فوق الرمية. ليس الغريب غريب الأهل والوطن، إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن. إلهنا نسألك بجاه الحسين في كربلاء، إلهنا نسألك بجاه عطش الحسين الغريب في نينوى. اللهم نسألك وندعوك بأحب الخلق إليك محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين. إلا قضيت لنا حوائجنا جميعا يا الله. Brothers and sisters, we have many people in this community who are sick. Many people who ask for your dua on such a blessed night. Let us all raise our hands and ask Allah with the holy ayah 5 times to answer their dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ. One more time. أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا كاشف السوء اكشف السوء عنا يا الله. اللهم شافي كل مريض بحق مريض كربلاء زين العابدين. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج يا الله. اللهم اجعلنا من جنوده وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. Oh Allah, we ask you to allow us to be of those who see the face of Sahib al-Ziran and are resurrected to aid him in his mission, Ya Allah. We ask Allah to answer our dua and this blessed center and this majlis, Ya Allah. We recite Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha, but before it the loudest of salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.